I've been thinking about my father the past few days. He died a couple of years ago. We're coming right up on it in January. And I've missed him a lot. And he sort of spoke to me today. I stopped on the way to a job in a hospital, and there was someone playing the piano, playing his favorite song. And I realized he's been trying to speak to me, and I just haven't been listening. So I decided that today I'm going to give you guys one that isn't one of mine. It's written by a guy named Robert Service, and he and I used to do it all the time. Back and forth, we trade off doing stanzas from it. And so let me share with you in my father's honor the Creamation of Sam MaGee by Robert Service. There's strange things done in the midnight sun by the men who moil for gold, and the Arctic trails have their secret tales that would make your blood run cold. The northern lights have seen queer sights, but the queerest they ever did see was that night on the marge of Lake LaBarge when I cremated Sam MaGee. Now, Sam MaGee was from Tennessee, where the cotton blooms and blows, and why he left his warm home in the south to roam round the pole, God only knows. He was always cold, but that land of gold seemed to hold him like a spell, and he'd often say, in his homely way, that he'd sooner live in hell. It was Christmas Day, and we were mushing our way over the Dawson Trail, and talky or cold through a parka's fold it stabbed like a driven nail. If our eyes we'd close, our lashes froze, till sometimes we couldn't see, and it wasn't much fun. But the only one to whimper was Sam MaGee. That very night, as we lay packed tight in our robes beneath the snow, and the dogs were fed, and the stars overhead were dancing heel and toe, he turns to me, and Cap, says he, I'll cash in this trip, I guess. But if I do, I'm asking you won't refuse my last request. Well, he seemed kind of low, and I couldn't say no. And he says with a sort of a moan, it's this cursed cold, and it's caught right hold, and it's chilled me clean through to the bone. Now, it ain't being dead. It's the awful dread of an icy grave that pains. So I want you to swear that, foul or fair, you'll cremate my last remains. Now, pal's last need is a thing to heed, so I swore I wouldn't fail. As we mushed on to the streak of dawn, God, he looked ghastly pale. He sat packed in the sleigh, and he raved all day of his home in Tennessee, and by nightfall, a corpse was all that was left of Sam MaGee. There wasn't a breath in that land of death as I hurried, horror-driven, with this corpse half hid that I couldn't get rid, because of a promise given. It was lashed to the sleigh, and it seemed to say, you may tax your brawn and brain, but you promised true, and it's up to you to cremate those last remains. Night by night, in the lone firelight, while the huskies round in a ring howled out their woes to the homeless snows. God, how I loathed that thing. And day by day, that quiet clay seemed to heavy and heavier grow. And I mushed on, though the dogs were spent, and the grub was getting low, and the trail was bad, and I felt half mad, but I swore I wouldn't give in. And I'd often sing to the hateful thing, and it would hearken with a grin, till I came to the marge of Lake LaBarge, and a derelict there lay. She was jammed in the ice, and I saw in a thrice she was called the Alice May. And I looked a bit, and I thought a bit, and I looked at my frozen chum, and here, says I, with a sudden cry, is my crematorium. Some planks I tore from the cabin floor, and I lit the boiler fire. Some coal I found lying around, and I heaped the fuel up higher. And the flames soared, and the furnace roared, such a blaze you seldom see. And I burrowed a hole in the glowing coal, and I stuffed in Sam MaGee. And then I made a hike, 'cause I didn't like to hear him sizzle so. And the huskies howled, and the heavens scowled, and the wind began to blow. Now I don't know how long in the snow I wrestled with grisly fear, but the stars were out and dancing about ere again I ventured near, 'cause I guessed he's cooked, and it's time I looked. So I threw the door open wide, and there sat Sam, cool and calm in the heart of the furnace roar, and he wore this smile you could see a mile, and he said, please, close the door. It's fine in here, and I greatly fear you'll let in the cold and storm. Since I left Plumtree down in Tennessee, this is the first time I've been warm. I miss you, Poppi.